Welcome back, my students, to a brand new episode of Comic Class. Today's lesson is we look at Kevin Eastman and Tom Watts' TMNT 2011 Volume 10 New Mutant Order. And yeah, this is a really fun volume to talk about, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this story. I had a lot of predictions for this book and what was going to be coming afterwards, and that I felt like the story was really going to pick up pace from this volume on compared to volumes 9 and before, and I was surprised to see that I was right and that this volume really does pop off and leads us to the events that will be taking place for the next few volumes, it seems. So without further ado, I think we should jump right into today's story, and yeah, let's get started. Let's go. Real quick, guys, if you want to help me get more videos out faster, you can donate to the channel at the Cash App down below. This helps me treat these videos more like a job and will help the channel and videos to grow and come out more often. I appreciate anyone who donates or doesn't donate, and don't feel like you have to be a fan of the channel. You can still show your support by liking and commenting on the video, and with that out of the way, hope you enjoyed the video. So this story basically starts off where the last volume left off, with Crane having a meetup with Shredder. And Shredder basically went to, I think it was called the Burno Islands, where Crane's base is at. And he basically talks to Crane. And Crane and him basically talk to each other over a table with some of their guards guarding both of them. And this is where we find out that Shredder wants Crane to basically work with them to make sure that the Foot survives and is able to lead the planet once Crane gets the Technodrome, on command, basically. Now, Crane basically explains to Shredder that he isn't going to want to work with any humans because he's actually going to try killing them all. And this is where he betrays Shredder, or, attacks Shredder and basically supposedly kills him. Now, Shredder basically had a plan and knew this was a possibility, so he had one of his Foot people basically pretend to be him, and he was actually one of the Foot guards that was pretending to protect the Shredder. And he had put a bomb device basically in the helmet of that Foot soldier that was pretending to be him. So that leads into a giant explosion, and this doesn't take out Crane or his henchman, which just shows the durability of his exosuit, basically, and his henchman. And Crane basically fires a missile and destroys the helicopter that was going to take Shredder out of this place. But Shredder had a plan, and basically had a plan for his backup plan, and brought his mutant soldiers basically to fight alongside him to basically take out Crane and his people. So eventually it goes into Shredder versus Crane. They begin their battle, and the battle is a really cool action sequence. Eventually Shredder shows his superior fighting skills and is able to kind of take off some of Crane's limbs and stuff, his metal limbs. And the action panels themselves were really well drawn and very well choreographed. But eventually the whole place is coming down, and Koya, which we saw during Volume 9, basically comes and rescues Shredder before the whole scene, before the ship sinks, basically. So he gets away along with his people, his mutant, basically get away. I'm not sure if any of the Foot survive. And yeah, so we jump back into what the Turtles are doing. And it turns out that Slash basically has arrived in the turtle lair and is inviting them to basically go have a meetup with Old Hob, because they need to talk about what's going to be going on and what they're going to do for their future attack on the Foot and stuff like that. Eventually, Donatello shows his distaste for what exactly his family are doing, and that there's bigger threats like the Technodrome that they have to try taking down, because that actually threatens the entire planet, not just themselves. And they basically have a family meeting, leading Donatello to basically leave and say he's going to try to fix this himself if he has to. So we get to see that Harold is helping Angel basically take on some muggers, basically, or just some game people. And we jump back and we see that Donatello, like I said, makes the decision that he's going to be leaving, and realizes that the fate of the world is more important than some, vengeful grudge, basically. So I thought that was really cool development for his character. We also see development between characters of Casey and April in their relationship and making sure that Casey doesn't go and get himself killed in his street brawls. And I thought that was interesting as well. Eventually, the Turtles go and meet up with Old Hog along with Splinter, and they basically meet some new members called Herman the Hermit Crab and Mondo Gecko. And they're basically new mutant fighters or soldiers that were created by Old Hog and the scientists that we saw in the last volume, as well as Slash, his teammates as well. Eventually, Leonardo shows up after talking to Donatello. He almost gets attacked by Mondo and Herman, but is stopped by Old Hob, and it was a really cool scene. Eventually, we get to see that Pete the Pigeon basically has been recruiting people, or trying to recruit people to join the mutant army, but eventually he meets up with Bebop and Rocksteady, so they're basically going to go to where the Turtles are at and Old Hob and Slash. So we get to see a Donatello basically arrives and he talks to Harold and Angel. And we get to see and find out that Donatello has been in contact with Dr. Honeycutt, and that the timeline is being moved up for the Technodrome, so they have to get on it and try to create a plan to basically stop Krang and the Technodrome from taking over the planet and killing all life on the planet, basically. So Donatello basically looks at the turtle machine that we saw in the last volume, and it's implied he's going to do something with it, while Harold basically fits the transporter device. Now we get to see that Angel meets up with Alopets, or Alopets meets up with Angel. It seems like they're going to team up to try to help the Turtles in a battle that Alopets knows is coming. So they head off, and eventually Old Hob and Splinter and the rest of the crew basically are talking with each other, talking about what they're going to have to do against the Foot, when Pete the Pigeon basically shows up around the corner, and it turns out that he has Bebop and Rocksteady with them, to the surprise of the entire crew. And this is where a battle ensues, because Bebop and Rocksteady almost get put into the group whenever Old Hob tries to, win them over, basically saying that they're mutants fighting against humans. But this is where Bebop and Rocksteady revealed that they're actually half human as well, because they were humans before they were turned to mutant animals. This makes it to where Old Hob doesn't want to work with them and basically wants to kill them as well. So after calling, Old Hob basically prejudice, they basically get into a brawl in the streets. And this is where we get to see the power scale of this Bebop and Rocksteady being a set of people that can basically fight against like 8 or 10 people at once, as well as being able to dodge bullet fire consistently, where it needs to be almost point blank to be able to even tag them. Alopets and Angel basically arrive and join the fight against Bebop and Rocksteady, and we get some awesome scenes like Slash crushing a car, basically stopping Michelangelo from getting crushed by it. We get to see Herman using his missiles to basically try to take out Bebop and Rocksteady, but that basically just gets them knocked down, basically, but not knocked out. And they basically try to kill Splinter as well by throwing some like cement blocks or something, brick blocks, at super high speeds. But Raphael is able to save Splinter, and the fight basically continues. While that's going on, we just see that Casey is basically bonding with April's dad, and he offers him a job of security and also working around like maintenance work at the shop that they're making right now. So that's pretty interesting. It looks like that's going to be a plot point for Casey's character for the next few volumes. So that's pretty cool. Now we go back into the fight, and we get to see Angel use her high-tech suit that Harold made and basically try to electrocute Bebop, I believe. And Bebop basically just laughs it off, saying, "Don't you know I'm ticklish?" It basically breaks her arm and just like knocks her a few blocks or something. She's able to break her fall with the gravity gauntlet thing she has, so that was pretty cool. But Bebop and Rocksteady basically are just tearing apart the entire group of fighters. And it's pretty interesting, and we get to see a little bit of development of Raphael and Alopets' relationship, so I thought that was pretty fun and interesting. Eventually, Pete the Pigeon comes to free both of them, so they'll join back into the fight. And Old Hob is basically getting beat up by Rocksteady, and eventually Splinter shows up with them saying, what is he going to do, just how small he is. He basically like throat hits Rocksteady and hits Bebop like across the face. he's having Gecko Mondo basically try to do a plan that he came up with, and he just constantly is just fighting these two, and hits Rocksteady and Bebop, with Bebop getting hit in the face with like a palm strike, and then Rocksteady getting hit with a throat shot again. Eventually, they get fed up, and Mondo Gecko basically tells him to look up, and he drops electricity where the water's at that they're standing on top of, and basically electrocutes both Rocksteady and Bebop, which was kind of a comedic scene and really cool to see. Eventually, the crew thinks that they have taken down Bebop and Rocksteady when they kind of like get up and tell them that they're not done yet. This is where Herman basically shoots some missiles to basically attack the building behind them. And at first, Bebop and Rocksteady think that he missed. And Herman basically says negative, this trap never misses, and the whole building that's behind them basically crashes on top of them. So this leads the crew to basically believe that they've defeated Bebop and Rocksteady, and Old Hog basically asks Aelopet to basically join their mutant army, but she basically says she's had enough armies for her days, or for her time, and Bebop and Rocksteady get out of the rubble after everyone is gone. And they basically said that they actually survived getting this entire building crushed on top of them. And they basically say they're not going to tell Karai about what happened, and they're running with the turtles. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And the volume ends with Donatello basically using the turtle machine, basically. I think it's called the Mecha Turtle or something. And basically goes to the Shredder in the foot. In front of Shredder the foot and the elite guards and his mutant soldiers, as well as Karai, and basically tells them that he's come to the Foot to basically save the world, and that the fate of the world depends on the Foot clan. And that's how it ends, with Donatello basically just looking at the computer screen, looking through the eyes of the Mecha Turtle, and basically is about to make a deal with the Shredder and the Foot to basically try to save the world from Crane. So he's doing what his family basically would not, especially Splinter, his father, would not do, which is teaming up with the Shredder. And yeah, in order to save the planet from Crane. Because the Technodrome, as we'll learn in the next volume, is very dangerous and definitely would kill the entire planet. So what I really liked about that, and we'll talk about more in volume 11 when that drops next week, but I really did enjoy that they do make the threat really real, and they made Donatello's actions justified. That he was right, that this was such a more bigger threat than some like clan feud and stuff like that, or some simple feud between families. But that was Kevin Eastman and Tom Watts, TMNT 2011, Volume 10, New Mutant Order. Overall, a really solid volume. I really enjoyed it. I really think that out of all the volumes, this one was really, really good, which I do say a lot throughout these volume reviews, but this one really is top tier. And I can't wait to see where the story goes. Like I said, I have read the next few volumes, at least the next volume I have read, so I already know where the story kind of goes after this, and it gets crazy. So definitely be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can watch volume 11 when it drops. I dropped turtle videos every Saturday. We're going through the entire IDW run all the way up to volume 23, and then we'll determine if we're going to do the Reborn line of stories after, volumes after. But that's to be all, guys. Be sure to like the video, show your support, and be sure to comment down below what you thought of this volume, and if you plan on continuing reading the series, or if you're enjoying this run of videos of the run of the series in general on on my channel. That's to be all, guys. Until next video, God bless you. Until next lesson, keep on.